Hello gamers, it's me. Today's video is a little bit different. As you can see, I'm in the car that you all asked me about, and I'm going out for a little while. But I wanted to take this time to talk about, I've been writing a lot the past few days, and the response to the zealous response video or whatever is coming along. And I have about 18 minutes of recorded pieces for that already. But I kind of hit a point last night and this morning where the things that I end up having to go into and explain, like the current section that I'm writing, we get to a point in Zealous's video where he's basically apologizing or trying to apologize for, calling Rel incompetent and shifting and playing with words and trying to turn it into, I'm calling the person incompetent. Well, you guys know my stance on that, and having to go into, like, in the video, or in the audio, or in the script or the writing part so far, I've had to go into, actually, since we don't understand the words and what they mean in English, I've literally had to go to Merriam-Webster and pull up the definition of incompetent, and then painstakingly go through, there's 4 key sub-definitions of incompetence or being incompetent, and I've had to go through painstakingly and demonstrate with real-world scenarios how exactly this individual is incompetent. And it struck me, it's like, or some other, I got struck earlier by a comment that he made in his video about how, I came to the realization that, you know what, man, this guy's only played the game for, I think, maybe 3 years, right? So he's an escalation baby. And the problem with escalation babies and people who have only had a cup of tea with the game is that most of these players are absolutely, totally, and completely ignorant when it comes to the frustrations and dealing with the frustrations of the design choices throughout the history of the game. So when you have someone like me who spent literally 10 years playing the game and observing and seeing it and dealing with and going through the day-to-day of how this game has been managed, how it's been designed, balanced, and all this stuff, all the way down, it's really hard to get someone who is just that goddamn ignorant to understand your point of view. And this is something that I've tried to do really since, I guess, about 2017 or 2018 on the channel. I've spent a lot of time trying to pierce through the veil of ignorance for a lot of these players. And I think in some ways I've had success. But in other ways, you guys have to understand that for every one of you guys that finds me and realizes what I'm doing and subscribes, likes my videos, comments on them and stuff like that, for every one of you, there are like 100+ people who just don't get it. And they don't get it, and they never will get it, and they don't want to get it either. And I think Zealous is someone who falls into this camp. Now, I've had plenty of interactions with the guy already over the past couple of years, really the past year and a half, and every single interaction I've had comes away as somehow disingenuous. There's just something off there. And I've had friends that have had interactions with the guy, and it gets to a point where it's like, these things that I have to spell out Barney style are pretty much obvious and apparent to anyone that can think. And as I'm writing the script or whatever, as I'm getting down to it and having to go through these things, I'm having to explain things to someone like that, like the take on towers, right? My take on towers is a pretty balanced take, but when your audience is someone who literally has only played the game for 6 minutes, his only experience in the game is sitting in a Zerg or sitting on doing point holds, and that's the whole meta of the game, and that's what you appeal to, and that's what all your content is supposed to appeal to. When that's the audience, there's just a real cap or a limit to how far you're going to be able to progress. So in reality, this response video is not even really a response video to Zealous, because I'm under no illusion that I'll be able to teach this guy anything or explain anything he doesn't get. Because I have 6 hours of content on the channel relating to Zealous. And it's clear, like, look, I get it. You're not going to watch the content because you complain that it's too long. Meanwhile, your dumb takes per minute is like at, I don't know, fucking, you know, an insane player you think would be cheating's KPM. So at the end of the day, it just gets impossible to keep up with the ignorance. And just one of the major problems is I've played FPS games for 20 years now, and I'm at a place where the players that you're encountering that have these takes, that want to offer them up wholesale and be a content creator or influencer or in some kind of way influence the development of the games, these people have no fucking idea what they're talking about, but it doesn't matter because there's so many people like them that it just, all progress that you can make just is completely irrelevant. So I guess what I'm getting at here is watching that Rel interview, which I suggest that you guys do watch it. Watching that interview and seeing the broken man in front of us and the finality of all that, and then thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to be able to, anyone that thinks that guy was good for the game or competent in any way, number one, you don't understand the definition of incompetence, because the incompetence that was put on display by this guy, someone who's not qualified to do the job, someone with a massive ego from a huge YouTube following and celebrity status in the game, who can't do anything wrong in the eyes of the casual player. These are just extremely terrible attributes to have in someone who's in charge of the balance of an FPS game. And the guy, as I've always stated that the guy is just completely miscast. He should never be a game designer on an FPS game. And you see, once he gets out of that, what's he doing? What's he working on? He's working on he thinks that he can make Valheim, he can do something Valheim didn't do better. Of course he does, because he just wants to create. Well, you've created a mess. And you've made one of the games I've spent the most time playing and had the most fun playing over the past 10 years. You've turned that game into unplayable dog shit because of your design ideas. So when I'm thinking about that and the finality of him leaving, and then like looking at what I'm doing still, I'm still doing React content to people who have no fucking clue what they're talking about, whether it be serious or zealous or, you know, whoever else comes out of the woodwork. And it's like, is this what I really want to do? And part of the problem with that is, it'd be one thing if I could make a measurable impact. But unfortunately, there's always going to be way more ignorant and stupid players in these games. And it's only getting worse because the gaming becoming mainstream and casuals taking over the conversations and all that stuff. There's nothing I can do to stop that. And it's not that I want to stop it, it's just that it's extremely damaging to the core gameplay in all of these games. So why do you think all these games have such shit core gameplay? At the end of the day, what I'm saying is I'm not having the impact that I want to have, and I'm spending a lot of time still trying to get through to people, and I'm just not able to do it. And people will complain about, oh, well, it's the way you do it. Or it's really, look, man, if you can't get through, I had this conversation with Deeg. If you can't parse through, if I use some curse words sometimes and you can't get to the core of the message and you can't understand it, then I can't help you. And I'm finding most of the time I can't help these people. So, with that said, I don't know how much more content you're going to see on PlanetSide 2 from me. I don't really know where I'm at with the game. I'm really not playing all that much. Like I said, the last year and a half, 2 years of the game, I've pretty much sapped all the enjoyment that I could possibly have out of that game with some of the design decisions and the general direction of the game. And the game is about farming players, right? And you have to have players to farm to have that enjoyment. And there's just, the fights are non-existent. They're all terrible. All these shitty-ass Zerg fits and mid fits just exist to, go sit in a blob on a point, put all their little baby gates up. They have all their sentry turrets up. They have all their turrets up in the prescribed position they read in a fucking guide 2 years ago. It's just cancer, and it's not enjoyable to play. And then streaming the game is extremely frustrating because there's still people in a 10-year-old dead game who are absolutely ass-blasted that you have a differing point of view from them, that they'll sit and harass you for hours and hours on end. So, and if you've never had that happen to you, then you probably don't know what you're talking about when it comes to that. So, extremely frustrating. So, I don't really want to play the game. I don't really want to stream the game. And I really don't want to do content on the game. So, I guess what I'm going to do, I have about 6 or 7 or 8 sections of that response video already written. And they're broken down. They're just audio. There's no video with them. So I might just release it as use it as an MP3 or whatever and put it in your pocket and turn it on and listen. I guess I'll release that maybe alongside this video, so look for that. It might just be in an unlisted playlist, because it's just in a format where you just listen to it. There's no real video or anything, but it's about 18 minutes of whatever partial response I was going to have to this video. And with that, that'll probably be the last piece of PlanetSide 2 content I do for a while. I know there's a QA that I have to get to at some point, but I just haven't felt like it and haven't gotten around to it. But as for PlanetSide 2 content, in terms of arguing with ignorant casuals, I think I've put in my time doing that. And I don't think it's something I want to do anymore, because it's just, at the end of the day, a complete and total waste of time. So I'm going to put this video out. And then in this video, in the description, I'll link to I'm going to put those other clips, the 18 minutes of audio, I guess, so you can, I don't want to write all that and fucking have it there just to not release. So maybe when I get home, I'll make an unlisted playlist and upload that and put the link to that in this video. So as for when you can expect to hear from me again or on the game, I don't know. I just kind of am completely disinterested, and there's other things that I'm interested in doing as of right now. So if you're new here, I guess thanks for the support. There's still a ton of content on the channel when it comes to this stuff. I'm not going to get rid of that stuff. So yeah, I guess I will talk to you guys later.